Hey, welcome to 2414. My name's Dan, and I'm sitting today with my longtime faraway friend, Dave Reddle. Hi, Dave.
Hey,
oh my goodness, I'm happy to see you.
It's awesome. Straight from the airport into the car and right here to recording studio.
Yeah, so I picked up Dave at Seattle-Tacoma Airport a half hour ago. He flew in because he and I, in just a couple days, are going to run around Mount Hood, called the Timberline Trail. It's about 42 miles if we don't get lost, and 9,000 feet or so of elevation going up, and also 9,000 feet elevation going down, spread out over somewhere between 12 and 16 hours.
We'll be coming around the mountain.
Yeah, all day. All day we'll be coming around the mountain.
Silence is one of those disciplines, those spiritual disciplines that we've kind of given up on in the modern world, of just being out in God's creation, total silence. I mean, there's still some sounds, but total silence, and just to be able to reflect upon our lives and what God has for us. To me, it's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. We're going to be running the Timberline Trail circumvention all the way around Mount Hood, just east of Portland. More than just a run, really, it's an experience that will hopefully be considered a Sabbath, a way to kind of fill our souls to just enjoy the day in an unhurried state with God. Just hanging out on the shores of Sandy River, night before the big Timberline Trail circumvention. How is everybody feeling? How are you feeling?
I'm ready. This will be the last river we cross tomorrow, a little bit upstream.
It's going to be good. I'm
Maybe,
assuming
we'll wrap it up this time of day. Sun will still be up.
Yeah, the plan is to be back to the car at about this time, with the sun still on the horizon. It hasn't quite dipped below the mountains yet. That's the plan. And it's an experience, but the cool thing is it's so much more than running. I mean, people may have listened to the first 15 minutes of this and said, hey, that sounds super hard, which it is.
Yeah.
Somewhat daunting and physically painful. All three of those are true.
Yeah.
But none of those line up in comparison to the opportunity we get for 14 whatever hours to just simply have conversation. Because here you get to actually have conversation all throughout the day with one of your best friends and out in the wilderness of God. And you get to experience just like I mentioned before, a captive audience kind of time of sharing all kinds of things. To me, that's the greatest thing of ultra running is, but at the end of the day, you're actually sharing life on the trail with somebody, which is more important than anything.
Yeah, and in a pretty cool sort of pinch me environment too. We'll have views of Mount Hood most of the day. We'll have rivers and fields and wildflowers. There will also be sand, and we'll have scrapes and falls, and we'll have squishy shoes and.
Here goes, folks, into the box. Here we go.
Bye, guys.
So we go to bed at 7:30, 8:30, somewhere in there. Wake up at 3:30. We're out the door 4:15, and we get to the Timberline Lodge, which is where it starts, about 5 a.m. It's dark. It's cold. It's windy.
It's windy. Yeah, it's actually fairly windy.
Yeah.
And a little bit ominous.
I thought about grabbing my beanie. I was like, I don't know if I have enough layers for this. Yeah. We fill out a little piece of paper that says we're going out on the trail because the Forest Service wants you to. They don't care if you come back. They just want to know how many people go out on the trail. I think it's so they can get revenue and funding for the thing. I don't know. So we head off at about 5:10 is when my official GPS said go time. We've got headlights. What was the first little bit of the trail like, Dave?
So the first bit, it was downhill, somewhat of an advantage, but it was through sand. It was through sediment that had been grounded down by the rivers that come down, and for years and years of history that made it interesting. And I think early on it was, we're having fun. Hey, this is great. It's a little bit of sand. We can deal with this. But it was about 1.5 miles of sand downhill, and it was 1,000-foot downhill, I think, for the first 4 miles. So got your legs loose, but it also kind of was the first attack on the quads.
Those clouds are awesome.
Woo-wee. That's pretty cool.
Good morning, Oregon.
And then we got into some beautiful trail. It would have been transitioning into the forest, and then I believe we were running through some of the ski resort area, some of the lift area, and ran into a couple of women that were actually doing this with us. Not with us, but they started probably ahead of us. I'm not sure how
about
much.
An hour. I think they said 4 maybe.
And so we had a little conversation with them, and Ironman runners, finishers, and so they were pretty equipped athletes. But we pulled ahead of them a little bit and just kept on going, and we never saw them again. But yeah, we're hoping they finished.
Yeah, I hope so.
We're going to turn north somewhat from here.
Yeah.
I'm heading due east right now.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the rivers. What was that like? Was it what you expected? Was it different than you expected? How would you describe it to somebody who's never been to the Timberline Trail or Mount Hood? Okay, when you do that, you're going to cross some rivers.
If you've never been there and you come across this river, it's late summer. It's not raging, but it's also not quiet. It's not a stream that it's just slowly moving along at home.
Third river.
This thing's moving, and it could be anywhere between 10 feet to maybe 20 feet across, and there is no bridge. And you've got to really immediately understand, wow, this water's moving fast, number one. And number two, what's my route? And three, do I want to keep my shoes dry, or do I want to go for it? And what's the complications and consequences of doing that? So the first couple of water crossings were interesting because I was trying to, from what I've seen in the video, trying to pick a strategy, find some rocks to hop over, and I did that at the first one, but the second, might have been the second or third one, it was much more powerful, water flowing, and the course was not clearly marked. I mean, you had to make a decision, and at that point, I decided, you know what, these old legs aren't going to be able to hop to that rock. without me probably slipping and falling and floating down the creek. So I didn't want any part of that. So I just decided to make a way across the creek into the water all the way through.
And so you're fording, you're kind of like poking out with your poles.
Yeah.
We both have like hiking poles, look like ski poles, and kind of do a little gauge and depth of our sounding in here. How far is this? And there's spots where it's ankle deep, and there's spots where it might be waist deep.
You look up, and every one of these canyons, at the top of it is Mount Hood, and it's spectacular. I mean, I don't know if I've been on a more beautiful trail run ever than that. I mean, consistently coming around the corners, and
Adam's out there
whoa, there's Mount Hood right in front of you. And not just Mount Hood, but just everything. We ran through all kinds of environments in 42 miles.
Yeah, and you look up, you see the mountain, and there's, especially when we're at the bottom of the canyon, the water, there's almost certainly going to be a waterfall or two or three. So you've got Mount Hood with a waterfall in front of it pouring into this river that we're in.
And if you've so for people that have been to Colorado, you drive to a trailhead, and it's 9,000 feet, 10,000 feet high, and you're going to hike up to a 14er. So you're getting a perspective of a range of mountains and the one you're going to climb. But here we started out from our cabin at 1,500 feet, and we drove, and Mount Hood is 11,273 feet. So Mount Hood is actually 10,000 feet above where we were staying for the night. And that's just a whole different perspective if you've never been out to the Cascades. I mean, Colorado isn't like that. The massive prominence of those mountains are completely different. That's what just shook me the first time. I was like, wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
Get it any better weather than this. It's phenomenal.
Oh boy. I mean, there were some sections that were, to me, were like quintessential Washington, Oregon trail running. Was crushed pine needles, huge cedar trees, shade, the lights kind of in and out of that area, and either smooth or maybe downhill, and you're running on that, and they talk about kind of buttery like trails. That was it, and you're running that, you're thinking, man, I could fly down this. But then you come back to reality and realize it's mile 28. I'm not flying down this.
Yeah. There's moss on the trees.
Yeah.
So we've got the very, what you'd expect from the Northwest, pine needles, cedars, moss.
We knew that we were running in a unhurried state. We weren't trying to meet a goal.
Yeah.
We actually were talking to people on the trail and stopping and taking pictures and video. And we talked about that beforehand. I said, just so you know, I'm going to be doing some video stuff, so this might slow it down a little bit. But for me, that's the beauty of an experience like that. Is that it's not like we're just foregone the whole race kind of situation,
right?
Because we're still running hard, and we still have goals out there, but at the same time, we're really in the moment and wanting to enjoy all of that.
Yeah, so we're stopping to talk to people, either asking questions or answering questions, or just visiting. So we're taking pictures, we're having fun.
The second third was interesting because the first mile that we came out of Cloud Cap, there was nobody on the trail because nobody was going that direction. All these people that had come up to that trailhead were going where we had just come from because it's easy and beautiful and all that. The first mile out of Cloud Cap was a drop into this canyon. There's nobody there, and that was a tough river cross right there. And then climbing up out of that, you're kind of repeating that because we were going through a whole bunch, another climb, and then down in River Valley, and then another climb, and so you're doing that, and knowing that we still have probably 7 miles yet to get to Top Spur,
But
Top Spur's our second aid station where we're going to meet Charlotte for aid and refreshments.
And we roll into that, and I was a little bit, I was definitely more tired at that point.
So we're down to the final third now. The first third, picture perfect, couldn't have gone better. Second third, a couple hairy river crossings, a little bushwhacking through the jungle, but pretty beautiful, a lot of wildflowers. So we've got a couple miles maybe of just beautiful trail. And then we get to one of the visual highlights besides the other 40 visual highlights, but Ramona Falls, kind of on the western, a little bit south side of Mount Hood, is just a beautiful rock face.
Streams that are all flowing down, tumbling down at the same time. It's almost like a picture you'd see, like a slow motion photo of a waterfall. But this thing was huge. It was, I'm going to say 80 to 100 feet high, and then probably easily, if not more than that, across. And it was just beautiful. The sound of it just coming down, and there was a pretty decent force of water coming down, but it was amazing. And we knew what was ahead of us. Because I just recall having looked at the elevation map beforehand, and whether I blocked it out or not, but I saw this climb, 2,000-foot climb. I don't know, it was in 3 or 4 or 5 miles, whatever. And I was like, okay, that's going to be pretty difficult. But I didn't really see the rest of that, which was a little bit downhill, and then another, 500 to 800-foot climb. And so that was the climb out of Ramona Falls was hard. It wasn't like a super steep trail, but it gave you no indication that it was going to end. And you just had to put your head down and get after it. That's where your mental fortitude and your spiritual toughness kicks in, because at this point your body is super tired anyway. I mean, you're not going to start running up that unless you're a complete idiot, because then you're going to burn out in about half mile. But so we did that. We just pushed onward, and at some point I also knew, because we were from Top Spur to the end. What is that? 20?
15, 17, somewhere in there.
Okay,
miles.
15, 17, and with no additional chance at water unless we filtered it. So as we were going up there, I was thinking, at some point we're going to need to filter some water, because I'm not going to have enough.
Yeah.
And we did that.
Yeah.
26-minute mile pace, which is not fast. But at the end of the race, it wasn't like a 40-minute mile. I mean, we were still moving, but it was just a very monotonous trudging, knowing what you had to do, because stopping wasn't going to help you at that point.
Yeah, catching your breath. That wasn't the problem. You were just
had
empty.
to kind of stay in the moment and get after it. And
at this point, we got our eyes on the prize. We know the end is near. We're looking at our watch. Well, my watch died, so I'm kind of like speculating. I know the sun goes down at 8:30, so we're getting close there. Pizza's open till 10. It's about a 40-minute drive. Okay, if we get right in the car and we call on the way, hopefully they'll take orders. And we get near the lodge, and we hear Charlotte hooping and hollering at us because she's awesome. And she's got her phone up. She's recording like the final finish. And I don't care about the footage. I'm like, we need to order pizza. And she's like trying to capture us, like, here comes Dan and Dave into the sun red. I'm like, but we're hungry. We need to call and see if they're still open. So like her cinematic debut of trying to capture this graceful moment. It's just me shouting in the background. She's like, I ordered the pizza. I'm like, no, but we have to order pizza. She's like, I already ordered the pizza. There's pizza? She's like, yes, there's pizza.
I have it in the back seat.
That's Charlotte's like,
I have it
video
in the
of
back
our
seat.
run. Was me saying like,
I have it
sure
in the
there's
back
pizza?
seat.
She's like, yes, I got the pizza. But there's pizza, right?
I love you.
Pizza in the car. I love you.
So we got the pizza, and now the next decision was, do we drive all the way back to the cabin to eat it there and take a shower, or do we eat it right now? And Dad graciously gave me that opportunity to respond to that. And I thought for probably about a second. And then I said, no, we're going to eat that right now.
Yeah, we are.
But the lodge wasn't open. There was a wedding at the main lodge, and then the
Yeah, they didn't want us as part of their wedding party.
No part of us. So the other part, the day use kind of was closed, but there's the check-in hut area was still open. They had a bench, so we walked in that area, and you got 2 pizza boxes, and you open that up, and I'm telling you, I mean, if you're an ultra runner, you know this. That's probably the closest slice of heaven that you can get. You're just mowing down on pizza after a run like that.
So we're down, and there's nothing better than crushing some pizza when we're finished. Thanks to Charlotte, the super ultra crew person. Awesome. What do you say?
Cheers. Thanks, Sean. Way to go, Dave.
Thank you.
Do what you need to do, whether you feel like it or not. Same thing with like I might not be thirsty, but if it's been 20 minutes, I need to drink. Yeah. And so that felt sort of like a larger lesson yesterday of there are plenty of times in life where I don't feel like doing something. Right. But if that's what I need to be doing, it doesn't really matter how I feel about it. Like do the right thing, whether it's a moral choice or a chore or just, I don't know, maybe I don't feel like going to church. Yeah, most people don't, but maybe you should. Yeah. Or whatever it is. I don't feel like praying, or I don't feel like playing with my kids, or I don't feel like whatever it is. Who says you need to feel like doing the right thing? Right. So I thought about that a lot yesterday, especially as I was eating and drinking. I'm like, I don't really want to eat, but I know I need to be on top of this.
Yeah, and that's true. And I love that spiritual connection to that. One thing at our company is some of the company values that we have is one of those top 3 company values we have is do the right thing no matter what. And that's been impressed upon people that if you're going to be part of, and we're part of a Berkshire Hathaway conglomerate, we're one of the little specks in his portfolio, but he expects his companies to do the right thing no matter what, because at the end of the day, the last thing he wants is to open up a newspaper and read about something that we didn't do right, that we didn't take ethically the right course. And so from an ethical standpoint, or more importantly, from a spiritual standpoint, keep your head down, keep your head up, but just keep moving forward and pressing into God to give you those answers. Typically in the ultra runner world, it has to be 100K or more to get a belt buckle. And most race directors are pretty stringent about that, and I get that. But this wasn't a race. This is our experience, so we get to set the rules. So
I am the race director.
I ended up getting a couple belt buckles, and that was kind of the belt buckle finish award.
That was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll sport that sometime soon.
And Dan also gave me a
coaster with outline of Mount Hood,
which is really cool.
So just something to